supporters are. We need to identify the people who are undecided, and we need to persuade those people. I know Martin County and St. Lucie County tend to be a bit more conservative, but conservatives can still vote for Obama. That's what his whole campaign has been about, uniting people. No matter if you're black, white, conservative, a Democrat, or an independent, you can support this man and his goals. And that's the message we need to get out to people. So as I said, Election Day is November 4th, but we need to start revving up for the election. We have a program called Get Out the Vote, and starting on October 20th, we are going to be going into motion. We need to have our supporters identified by then. We need to call people and see if their numbers are disconnected, if they're wrong. We need to start encouraging early vote. We need to figure out how we can get early voters to the polls. We need to have people at the polls. We need to have absentee ballots in, encourage people to vote absentee, encourage people to vote early. So one of our big tasks is registering new voters. I read last night that since January, 300,000 people have registered as new voter in Florida, and 200,000 of those people have been registered as Democrats. So we already have that. We need to register more voters, and that's going to be the first task that we have to do as a group together. We need to have clipboards out in front of a Publix, in front of a Walgreens, and ask people if they are registered to vote, and if not, you'll give them a form and say, sign up. It's that easy. You just fill out a form and you are registered to vote in the state of Florida. And this campaign has been about including new people, bringing new people into the fold, and that's how we're going to do it, by registering new voters. People from the ages of 18 to 30 are a great source of new voters and new people into the fold and new ideas, and that's who we want to target. We're also going to be identifying supporters. As Phil mentioned, we are just starting out in Florida. Without the help of you guys who've laid the groundwork, we wouldn't be here. So now we need to add, again, more people into the fold, and we have to identify new supporters. We're going to do that by calling people. We have a list of all the voters in Florida, and we're going to call them and ask them if they're going to be supporting President, sorry, that's not it. I got excited. If they're going to be supporting Barack Obama for president, what issues are important to them? And then we're going to be able to put that data into the computer and mail them things in the mail. If they're concerned about the war in Iraq and they're undecided, here's Barack Obama's policy on the war. If they're concerned about climate change, we'll enter that into the system. They'll get something in the mail with Barack Obama's policy on climate change, and hopefully we can try and change their minds. We're also going to identify supporters by canvassing, going door to door in groups, speaking to people in your community, and finding out the issues that matter to them, knocking on doors. The reason this movement has been so successful thus far is people like you have been talking to your friends and family and neighbors, and bringing them into the fold, and telling them why you support this amazing man. So I think now Phil's going to talk about other ways that we are going to be moving forward.
Registering voters is very important. This campaign has been all about bringing new people into the process. In the past, there hasn't been that much emphasis in other, campaigns on bringing new people in. This campaign is all about that. We're trying to change the political landscape of America. And you do that by bringing new people in who have not participated before. In other states, we've had hugely successful registration drives. Hundreds of thousands of people registered to vote. Pennsylvania, Indiana, Oregon, every other state. In fact, one of Barack Obama's first jobs after law school was executive director of an organization that registered 100,000 people to vote in Illinois, which just happened to be the margin of victory in that election, in that year's election. That's one of the ways you win elections. Another important thing that we're going to be doing is persuading undecided voters. Florida, as everyone knows, is a swing state. There's going to be, pretty much two bases of support for each candidate in the state. There's going to be that, infamous swing vote. We need to get to those people. We need to persuade them. And to do that, we're going to need to recruit volunteers. There's, over 100 people in this room today, all of which I'm sure are going to be active in the campaign, but that's still not enough. We need to talk or at least try to talk to each person in Florida 3 times if we're going to win this election. We need to knock on their door, call them. We need to get in contact with them as many times as possible. That's going to take a lot of people. The staff, Livia and I and the rest of the staff can't do that. Even all the people in this room can't do that. So what we're going to need to do is each one of us is going to have to start recruiting other people we know to help out. And the way we're going to do that is through our neighborhood team program. If you look at it in your packet, you're going to see a structure. It's just like a flow chart right here. What we have, the way we're going to organize all the volunteers in the state is through our neighborhood team program. We're going to do this in St. Lucie County, and we're going to do this in Martin County and every other county. Today, right as we speak, there are organization meetings just like this going on in every other major town in Florida, and they're talking about the same thing. What we're going to try to do, and we've done this in other states, is try to make it so that you can volunteer and work in your own neighborhood. It's far more effective if you can talk to your neighbor. Just the mere fact of you going and talking to your neighbor and say, "Hi, my name's Phil. I live over in Elmfield Lane. I want to talk to you about Barack Obama." They're going to listen to you much more intently than if some TV ads blaring at them, or a radio ad screaming at them, or some telemarketers calling them. People want to talk to their neighbors, and they implicitly trust their neighbors more than other people. When I was a volunteer in California, there was a 70-something-year-old man who lived on my street, just down the street. I had actually never talked to him before. I started volunteering, and when I went to talk to him, he seemed, not quite supportive. He said he was either going to vote for Obama or Huckabee, and I was like, okay, whatever. And so that kind of threw me off. But I went to talk to a bunch of other people, and then I went on election day to his house, knocked on his door to make sure that he had actually gotten to the poll that day to vote. And he said, "Yeah, you know what I voted for? I voted for Barack Obama." He told me that I was the first person in his life that ever come to his door. He lived in that neighborhood his whole adult life. He said I was the first one to ever come to his door, and that's why he voted for Barack Obama. Livia and I will be giving training to the various team members, so that you can know how to pull your own lists out of our system, how to print your own walk package, how to print your own call list. So you can essentially be running your own little campaign in your neighborhood. And then, what we'll be doing is, letting you know what your goals are, what goals you need to hit, so that we can actually win the state. Now, that said, we have to be careful about the tendency, even though various people may have certain titles, there may be like a volunteer coordinator, the canvas coordinator, everybody, in order to really win the state, every single one of us needs to be out there every week, knocking on doors, making phone calls. Livia and I, every single day, we either are canvassing or phone banking for hours at a time. And that's what